Hi, my name is Christine Anglin, and I am talking about forgiveness. Why am I talking about forgiveness? Because I had a situation in my life not too long ago, well, actually a while ago, and I was dealing with a lot of unforgiveness in my own heart, and I really just wanted to move on with my life. And I did, but just recently, actually, in the last couple of weeks, I started thinking about it again randomly, and it was dominating my thoughts. And I was like, Lord, what is going on here? I do not want to be thinking about this. I'm so over this, but I wasn't. And so what ended up happening was I ended up doing some studying and some reading and some writing. And so here I am making this video, hopefully helping out someone else who's also dealing with unforgiveness in their heart. Because I know if I'm dealing with it, someone else has to be dealing with it. And so, I don't really care about views. I just want this video to fall into the right hands at the right time. Forgiveness, right? Forgiveness oftentimes we think is external, like someone apologizes, you accept that apology, and then you move forward. And it would be nice if it always worked like that, but it doesn't. And unfortunately, you don't always get that apology that you feel like you're owed. Um, and that person has literally moved on, and you still have those feelings of defeat or discouragement, where you feel manipulated, you feel betrayed. And what are you supposed to do? Live the rest of your life with this huge chip on your shoulder? Some people do, and I'm here to tell you that you don't have to. Forgiveness has very little to do with that other person and everything to do with you. Sometimes you're angry because you should have said something. I know I was. I was angry because I should have said something. I should have done more. I felt like these people got the best of me and so on and so forth. And I just was like, why didn't I just stand up and stand up for myself? And then you start thinking about the things that you could do now. I'm going to send this angry email and let everybody know exactly how I feel. Unfortunately, that is revenge. And forgiveness and revenge they're not the same thing, and they actually don't meet. So what is forgiveness, right? What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is you giving up the right to pass judgment on someone else. When you are holding unforgiveness in your heart, you're literally saying, like, I have the right to pass judgment on you, and I'm not going to forgive you because somehow you feel like you not forgiving them is hurting them. It's really not. It's really only hurting you. Um, and and I want you to know that there is freedom for you in forgiving that person. And then you're like, no, but you're literally allowing that person to get away with what they've done. No, no, they haven't. We don't really have the right to pass judgment on anyone in the first place. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. It is he who repays. So when you think that you holding unforgiveness in your heart is giving them what they deserve, it's really you taking the authority from God and you holding it yourself. It's not your responsibility. That's not your place. Stay in your lane. And it's hard to hear because you're like, no, like I'm hurt, like my feelings are hurt, and you are hurt, and you were betrayed, and you were manipulated. All of those things did happen, but it's still not your responsibility to hold on to those things. Um, one of the one of the best stories for you to read if you are holding unforgiveness in your heart, or just to read generally speaking, is the story of Joseph. It's a story that we all know well. And if you do not know it well, I strongly encourage you to read it. It's in Genesis, and read it, study it, meditate on this story. Like, there's so much freedom in the words. Joseph had every right by human standards to be pissed off, to be angry, to be like so frustrated with his brothers for what they did to him, because they really outdid themselves. Like, they really betrayed him. Like, they really did. But all of those years later, when he saw his family again, we don't see an angry Joseph that's getting back at his family for what they did to him all of those years ago. We see love. We see true love. We see the love that we read about in Corinthians, a love that is not self seeking, and a love that does not keep records of wrongs, a love that always hopes, and a love that always perseveres, a love that is patient, a love that is kind. I mean, read the verse. It's in Corinthians 13. It's a beautiful verse. We see Joseph really giving his brothers the like showing the love of Christ. And you know what he said? He said to his brothers, "You did not send me here." He said, "God sent me here ahead of you." Joseph had every right to be angry, and he was actually in a position in which he could have gotten some really nice revenge on his brothers for what they did to him. But he wasn't even thinking about that. If I look and reflect in my own heart about if I was Joseph, I don't really think God would have been able to use me. And that's something that I really need to deal with in my heart at that time, like, I don't think that I would have been like, "Oh, hey brothers," and weeping and just happy to see them. You know, that's not, but God was able to use Joseph. Do you understand what I'm saying? God was able to use him because Joseph was like, honestly, this really isn't even about me. This isn't even about me. News flash, it isn't about you. Yes, you're hurting. Yes, that person was really mean. Yes, like, you didn't deserve that to happen to you, but it's not about you. And I know that that's really weird to hear because actually, it is about me because I am hurting and this person was really mean to me. And they were. And you didn't deserve that. And you don't deserve that to happen to you again. But it did. And there's nothing that's going to change what has already happened. When Jesus was being crucified on the cross, he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Oftentimes, other people are unaware of the damage that they're causing in your life. We forget that even the perpetrator, right? We'll just call them the perpetrator. They are also fallen the same way we're falling. We're fallen. And so they're sinning, right? Because like, they have a sinful nature the same way that you and I have a sinful nature. And you just happen to be on the receiving end of the heartache that they were dishing out. And I'm really sorry about that. But Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And Joseph forgave his brothers, and he had an outlook that was up here. And oftentimes we're operating right down here. We're thinking about me and how I was hurt and how I was affected. And me, and you did this to me and you hurt me and you're blah, blah, blah. The spotlight isn't supposed to be here on us anyway. The spotlight is always supposed to be on God. And so when we forgive, what we're doing is we're taking the spotlight off of us and we're shining it on God where it's supposed to be in the first place. And when you forgive, you give God the ability to move. You give him room to move. Like, God cannot use you if you are not usable. You understand what I'm saying? Like, no one knew that Egypt would have this huge famine all of these years later. When Joseph's brothers sold him to that caravan of Ishmaelites, like, there was no way that they would have known that down the road that this would have happened. But you know who did know? God knew. God knew this. And that's why he said, the devil really thinks he's setting something up here. He really thinks he's going to break you, but I am with you. And not only am I with you, but I'm setting you up for something major. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And if you just hang on just a little bit longer, you will be astounded. And I have to say that I think that he was astounded. Like, this was a major setup. Read the story, study the story, meditate on this story. There are freedom in the words. Like, forgiveness is about moving forward. It's about letting go. How do you take back control? By letting go. People will always be people. There will always be people that are trying to break you down. You know why? Because the enemy is real and he comes not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And the longer that you meditate on this, the longer that you meditate on the hurt, the longer that you're sitting there thinking about what you should have done and could have done and what you can do still, and so on and so forth, you're allowing the enemy to steal from your present. You're missing everything that's going on around you, and you're letting him win. At this point, this person's not doing anything to you. You're doing it to yourself because you're choosing to think about it. And 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 that is not the place that you want to be. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you need to mourn it. Yes, you need to get over it. But move forward. Move forward. I can't say it enough. Forgive and move forward. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Period. End of sentence. It's done. He's taking care of it. And when God gets back for you, like when he gets back at people for you, he even makes that person who hurt you better. He makes them better. He makes you better. And everybody gets to go home happy. But when you get back, all you do is create a mess. It's not your place. It's not where you belong. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, and your lane is forgiveness. That's the lane that you should be in. Motivation, your motivation in life should be, Lord, how can I make you smile today? What is it that you have for me? How can I get you to say those words to me? Well done, good and faithful servant. I mean, like, and I know we get really caught up in life and so on and so forth. We all do. But I'll just say this to you. Jesus said, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you want to know what vine you are connected to, look at the fruit of your life. The Lord said, love each other as I have loved you. And so that's the thought that I'm going to leave with you in this moment. Forgiveness is a choice. You can choose to forgive the same way you are choosing to hold on to whatever it is that you're holding on to. The only way that you will be truly free is when you let go. Choose to let go, choose to forgive, choose to move on, and let God use you the way that he has always wanted to use you. Be the person, the woman, the man that you were always meant to be. Get into the posture that says, Lord, it happened. What was I supposed to learn from that? Learn it and move on. Forgiveness is a choice. Never forget it. Thank you so much for listening.